Now at 9, Joplin police investigate a rash of car burglaries. Plus, a group of Kansas County commissioners meets at Kansas Crossing Casino to discuss the best ways to help residents. And Freeman Health System makes some donations to support area nursing students.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The KBI arrests a lieutenant with the Columbus Police Department for child sex crimes. KBI agents arrested 55-year-old David Justice of Baxter Springs near his home around 7:15 this morning. Justice faces charges of aggravated indecent liberties with a child, indecent solicitation of a child, and promoting obscenity to a minor. The Columbus Police Department asked the Bureau to investigate allegations against Justice in February of last year. At that time, the department placed him on unpaid administrative leave from his position of lieutenant. Joplin police say several thefts from vehicles happened throughout the city over the past few days. KOAM's Fernanda Silva spoke to a resident who said a person entered his car to steal items from it.
Actually heard a car alarm going off around 11 o'clock, and I looked around the neighborhood to make sure I didn't see anything, and we went back inside and called it a night. And then the next morning when I come out to get in my truck, I noticed the door was partially open, and that's when I knew someone had been in my vehicle.
This video was recorded by the Joplin resident home security camera after 11 Tuesday night. It shows a woman walking in the driveway toward the driver's seat door. The car is unlocked. She opens the door and moves the items in the center console.
I know it was at least mine and 2 other neighbors, because the one with the car alarm going off, and then my neighbor immediately next door was outside this morning, and I told them to check their vehicles in case something was missing, and they said they actually did have stuff missing out of it.
This is the second time a theft happened in the driveway of this citizen. He had a dirt bike stolen 3 years ago, the reason why he installed the security cameras.
Thefts from vehicles tend to be crimes of opportunity, where criminals will walk down the street and open door handles, and they'll enter the vehicles where the doors are unlocked, so make sure to lock your vehicles.
Besides locking your door, police also advise you not to leave valuable items in your car and call 911 if that happens to you.
If we know where things are occurring, then we can devote resources to those areas.
So I guess it's kind of a lesson learned in the sense of keeping the cars locked.
I didn't lose anything too important to me, but absolutely lesson learned about keeping the vehicles locked at all times, because you cannot trust people.
In Joplin, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
According to the police department, the number of thefts from vehicle reports decreased this year compared to the same period last year. Between January 1st and April 16th of 2023, about 67 cases were reported. This year, there were about 43. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Eddy joins us with a first look at weather.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a warm one for us today. Our temperatures, they shot all the way up into lower 80s for afternoon highs. 83 was our high. We started at 54 average high. This time of the year is only about 70 degrees. And look at our temps now. We're still sitting mainly into low to mid 70s, still pushing 80 once you get into our western counties. We are watching for some possible thunderstorm development over the next couple hours. Now, the better chance for this to occur is going to be out toward Wichita, maybe getting in toward Yates Center, Fredonia, and Neodesha a little bit later on this evening. And if those can get going, that could be strong to low-grade severe. But most of us are going to end up staying dry, as most of the storms are going to stay up near Kansas City as we go through the overnight hours. But we'll keep our eyes on it as we get a little bit later on this evening. And of course, some more thunderstorm threats rolling in for us tomorrow. I'll have those details here in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. The Missouri Department of Natural Resources is investigating the source of contaminated groundwater in Carthage. The contaminant is a chemical called tetrachloroethylene, or PCE, and was detected in 3 of 12 wells that supply raw water to the Carthage Water and Electric Plant. In 2020, the CWEP removed the 2 wells most impacted by PCE from service and deactivated them. The source of the contamination is currently unknown.
To sample in the summer of 2024, we are going to be sampling for tree cores. So we will use off-gassing from tree core analysis to attempt to identify if the plume is shallow or in the deep aquifer.
CWEP treats all combined raw water before it is distributed to the public. PCE has not been detected in liquid waste or sewage water after treatment. Pittsburgh Community Schools helping the state of Kansas ensure bus safety. The school district is participating in the Kansas one-day stop arm violation count survey for the Department of Education. The survey is being conducted to help determine the prevalence of drivers illegally passing school buses.
When a bus comes slowing down, they will add and engage their amber lights. And then the bus will come to a complete stop where they then will activate the red lights, and a stop arm or stop sign will literally come off of the bus with flashing beacons. That is where the stop arm comes from, and that's where the survey is generated.
The state of Kansas reported 676 violations in 2023. That number is down 23.3% from 2022's 882 violations. A group of Kansas County Commissioners came to Pittsburgh today to discuss strategies for growing their counties and helping residents. The Kansas County Commissioners Association hosted its spring conference at Kansas Crossing Casino. It was a chance for them to learn about budgeting tips, accessing grants, and the appraisal of property values, among other topics.
We share ideas, things that are working, things that aren't working. Talk about things going on at the state level, legislature, also at the federal level that we may be benefiting from, or things that might not be working, things that they've tried, other commissioners in other counties. So it's a lot of good conversation, a lot of sharing of ideas.
The best thing that I enjoyed so far is meeting other counties and discussing problems that each one of us have. And sometimes I'm very thankful I have the problems that I do versus what he's got. So yeah, sometimes it's, you never know.
And one of the sessions today included a media panel, which I had the honor of sitting on. The three-day conference continues tomorrow. Well, coming up, foreign influence on a domestic problem.
A scathing report from a bipartisan House committee accuses China of fueling the fentanyl crisis here in the U.S. I'm Griff Jenkins in Washington. We'll tell you exactly how coming up.
Freeman Health System today cut checks for 8 area nursing schools. Each school received a $2,000 donation totaling $16,000. Schools receiving the donations are Crowder, Missouri Southern, NEO, Pitt State, Labette Community College, Carthage Technical School, Franklin Technology Center, and Fort Scott Community College. Officials say the donations will help support the training of tomorrow's nurses.
That's why we volunteer. That's why we have a gift shop. That's why we do the things that we do, is to be able to give these funds. The nursing program, they're given the money with no strings attached.
The money is raised by the Freeman Auxiliary through gift galleries, raffles, and other events. A new report from the House Select Committee links China to drug trafficking here in the U.S. Fox's Griff Jenkins has the latest from Washington.
A scathing report from a bipartisan House committee concludes the Chinese Communist Party, or the CCP, has been subsidizing the manufacturing and export of materials used to make fentanyl and other synthetic drugs. It also found the subsidies come in the form of rebates for the value-added tax and are then used to increase exports of other goods from China. In testimony before the committee Tuesday, former U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr blasted China, blaming America's fentanyl crisis solely on Communist China.
Simply put, without China's production and export of fentanyl and fentanyl precursors, there would be no fentanyl crisis in the United States, and the mass slaughter would effectively stop.
Barr said the death toll in the U.S. every year from drug overdoses is higher than the number of Americans killed during the bloodiest year of World War II.
It's sobering and staggering what we see in this report. And they know what the outcome of this is. They know that this is leading to the deaths of Americans.
Barr recommended the U.S. use its trade and economic power to seek greater enforcement from Chinese authorities, and suggested victims bring civil actions against companies and individuals involved in distributing the precursors in synthetic drugs.
China's not our friend. We should realize that, on all sides, economically, militarily, and environmentally, China is an adversary.
China's embassy here in Washington did not address the fentanyl allegations directly, but did list several steps the nation is taking to curb fentanyl production. In Washington, Griff Jenkins, Fox News.
Well, Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later 5 standout athletes at Webb City signed letters of intent to play at the collegiate level.
Well, of course, another warm one for us today as we went into lower 80s during the afternoon. We are watching for some scattered thunderstorms to pop up over the next couple hours, but most of you are going to end up staying dry as we go through the overnight hours. The better shot for this to occur is really going to be along the I-35 corridor, Wichita, up toward Emporia, Topeka, Kansas City, but our far northern and northwestern counties, you may get 1 or 2 storms, and if they can develop, they could be a little bit on the strong side, but you can see them already going up north of Concordia, and that's where most of the action is going to stay over the next few hours. But this whole system, very strong cold front, is going to start to head toward us as we go through the daytime hours for us tomorrow. All right, let's go through time. By 10:30, we have some storms skirting our northern counties, but again, I think most of us are going to stay dry as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Look at our temps. We're still sitting low to mid 70s, even upper 70s once you get into our western counties. Now tomorrow we're going to get some more thunderstorms as well. The greater severe threat is going to stay east of the region. We do have a level 1 out of 5 threat, mainly Springfield, Monette, Aurora down toward Pineville, Anderson. I really think along and south of the I-44 corridor, that's going to be the better shot to get some strong to severe storms. The timing would be 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Main threat is going to be hail and wind, but the overall threat is fairly low for us to get some severe weather. All right, let's go through time. Here's 6 a.m. A lot of clouds. Our temperatures, we don't drop off much. We're still sitting into the upper 60s. Here comes that cold front. Scattered showers popping up along the front. So here's 1 p.m. Temperatures dropping behind the front. And then as we go through the afternoon, we're going to have some isolated storms in southwestern Missouri. And those will have the potential to be a little bit stronger or low-grade severe. But I really think most of the severe weather stays across central parts of Missouri and then down through Arkansas. So it may skirt right around us, which would be great news. Cold front drops in. Temperatures drop for us all the way down into the mid-40s by the time we head into Friday morning. And then Friday afternoon, a lot of mid and upper level clouds, quite a bit cooler, about 20 degrees cooler, as our high temps are going to be into the mid-60s. All right, day planner for your Thursday, 69 to start. We're going to go 76 by noon. I do think we'll get into lower 80s, and then look at the drop all the way down to 64 once we get into tomorrow afternoon. All right, the weekend's going to be a little bit cooler. We're going to have a few showers, mainly in our southern counties, late Saturday, Saturday night, and then into Sunday morning. A few showers skirting by, but this system isn't going to produce any severe weather. This is just going to be some random showers. Now, severe threat, that will return once we get into next week, especially Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. An alert day tomorrow just for the slight potential to get a few stronger storms in southwestern Missouri. High temp 83, 64 Friday. A few showers over the weekend, and then better chances for thunderstorms, especially all of next week. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Doug. We will hope you'll join us tomorrow for our Hero Fund USA Telethon. During our noon, 5, and 6 p.m. newscast, we'll have volunteers standing by to take your calls and donations. Now, all money raised will support Hero Fund USA, which partners with local first responders to provide them with equipment and safety resources. You can also donate through our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Coming up, more turbulence ahead for Boeing.
On Capitol Hill, 2 back-to-back hearings looking at Boeing and allegations of safety failures, with one hearing from a Boeing whistleblower. I'm Hillary Vaughn in Washington. I'll have the latest coming up.
Joplin shoppers have had a busy week. Yesterday, they flocked to Menards. Today, they lined up down the street for the opening of Ollie's. The store, whose slogan is "Good Stuff Cheap," features closeout merchandise at a reduced price. Around 300 people gathered at 9 a.m. to be one of the first in the doors.
Yeah, this was a very successful opening. Good turnout from the population here in the Joplin area. We had several hundred come in right at 9 a.m. And it's been a steady flow since we've opened the doors this morning.
The store is at 1329 South Rangeline. In 2 Senate hearings today, Boeing faced scrutiny as questions mount surrounding allegations over safety misconduct. Fox business correspondent Hillary Vaughn has the latest from Capitol Hill, as well as testimony from a Boeing engineer turned whistleblower.
Alaska Airlines grounding flights for an hour Wednesday, saying in a statement they had, quote, experienced an issue while performing an upgrade to the system that calculates our weight and balance. Adding, out of an abundance of caution, we requested a ground stop for all Alaska and Horizon flights. The incident comes as tensions have been high regarding the airline industry as a whole. In January, a door plug panel blew off a Boeing 737 MAX jetliner. And 5 years ago, 2 deadly crashes involving different 737 jets killed 346 people.
The perception is things are getting worse.
On Capitol Hill, Congress is examining allegations of major safety failures, with Boeing the subject of back-to-back Senate hearings.
Boeing is at a moment of reckoning.
Recently, one Boeing engineer, a whistleblower, testified the company is taking shortcuts in assembling 787 Dreamliners, leaving sections of an aircraft's skin vulnerable to breaking apart.
Effectively, they are putting out defective airplanes.
One witness who lost his sister during the Boeing crash of 2019 in Ethiopia urged the FAA for more oversight and to push for structural change at Boeing.
I believe the flying public deserves no less.
No one from Boeing attended today's hearing, but the company says they're cooperating with Congress. In Washington, Hillary Vaughn, Fox News.
Well, Google is cracking down on third-party apps that block YouTube ads. The international technology company announced viewers who were using third-party apps may experience buffering issues. Users may also see an error message saying the following content is not available on this app when trying to watch. Up next, we'll meet some four-staters who'll be headed to Tulsa for the World Axe and Knife Throwing Championships. 3 four-staters will head to Tulsa tomorrow for the World Axe and Knife Throwing Championships. The 4-day event features contestants from around the globe competing for a $60,000 prize. Ben Fowler, Brody Pursley, and Kinson Michael are local throwers ready to put the rest of the world on the chopping block.
2 years ago, I had the opportunity to compete under the lights on ESPN2. I made the U.S. Open quarterfinals, so I have had moments of high pressure in this sort of environment. So channel that energy that I experienced, learn from that, and do my best.
The Main Street Axe Company will be live streaming the event from their Facebook and Instagram pages. We wish Ben and the rest of them the best of luck. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Southwest Missouri authorities identify human remains found by a mushroom hunter. Plus, the Senate hosts the impeachment trial for Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
You're watching the 4 States Most Watched News.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Investigators in Douglas County, Missouri have identified a body pulled from the woods just west of Ava this month. The remains were discovered by a mushroom hunter. Michael Hoffman has more.
And they were able to confirm the identity as Curtis Goodwin from Sparta. He would have been 37 at the time he went missing in 2017, December of 17.
For nearly 10 years, this man, Curtis Goodwin, was nowhere to be found. Because Goodwin was estranged from his family, it took some time before he was reported missing and even more time before his body was found. Well, Sheriff DeGase tells me that the body was located here off T Highway west of Ava at this tree line you can see far deep behind me. But what's particularly interesting about this case is the way they found the body is a little bit unorthodox.
You know, you see on the news all the time, it seems like every year during mushroom hunting season, you see a report of somebody finding human remains. And I think it's just the simple fact that they're out there walking, they're looking at the ground, they're concentrating a little more.
Paula Wagoner works just down the street from where the body was found and learned of the discovery earlier this month. What hurts her even more, though, is that she has been a lifelong family friend of Goodwin's family.
I just hope the family, gets the answers that they need, because I know how that feels, and when you find out your loved one has been, found dead, it's a hard, it's surprising and it's hard to get over.
She says she hopes the family can now find some kind of closure.
For a long time, I was convinced that there isn't such a thing as closure, but I guess it just is different for everybody.
Sheriff Degassi says his detectives have not yet found evidence to support a claim of foul play. The sheriff sent the remains to a forensic pathologist to uncover the exact cause of death. Voters in Carterville, Missouri will head to the polls again at the end of the month for a special election. Now, this election was called after the race for councilperson in Ward 1 ended in a tie at 14 votes apiece for candidates Devin Keelan and Darlene Taylor. The revote is scheduled for April 30th and will cost the city $1,261. Now in Barton County, a race for the board of the Village of Milford also ended in a tie. The county clerk's office says paperwork has been sent to resolve the tie, but they have not yet heard back. Well, blink and you could have missed it. After months of talk, the impeachment of Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas came and went. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor tells us why this Senate trial was unlike others in recent memory.
Senators were sworn in as jurors Wednesday for the chamber's third impeachment in 5 years. This time, it's Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas on trial, accused by House Republicans of, quote, willfully and systematically refusing to enforce U.S. immigration law on the southern border.
He willingly neglected the duties of his office and that he lied to Congress.
But Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer moved to dismiss the impeachment charges.
Impeachment Article 1 does not allege conduct that rises to the level of a high crime or misdemeanor as required.
Never before in the history of our republic has the Senate dismissed or tabled articles of impeachment when the impeached individual was alive and had not resigned.
U.S. border officials say there have been more than 7.5 million illegal migrant encounters since 2021. Republicans in both chambers argue President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas have done nothing to bring the situation under control, leading the House to impeach Mayorkas. Democrats say the trial is all about politics. Now Republicans are saying its dismissal is the same.
This is the United States House of Representatives, a revered institution. We're not talking about some game boy living in his parents' basement who has an opinion.
Mayorkas, who is not required to attend the proceedings, says Republicans are distracting from the work that needs to be done.
As they work on impeachment, I work in advancing the mission of the Department of Homeland Security.
Despite the lack of drama, this is historic. Alejandro Mayorkas is the first sitting cabinet secretary to face an impeachment trial in the history of the United States. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
A bit later, how a unique hopping robot could advance our knowledge of outer space.
Well, of course, another warm one for us today as we went into lower 80s during the afternoon. We are watching for some scattered thunderstorms to pop up over the next couple hours, but most of you are going to end up staying dry as we go through the overnight hours. A better shot for this to occur is really going to be along the I-35 corridor, Wichita, up toward Emporia, Topeka, Kansas City. But our far northern and northwestern counties, you may get one or two storms, and if they can develop, they could be a little bit on the strong side, but you can see them already going up north of Concordia, and that's where most of the action is going to stay over the next few hours. But this whole system, very strong cold front, is going to start to head toward us as we go through the daytime hours for us tomorrow. All right, let's go through time. By 10:30, we have some storms skirting our northern counties, but again, I think most of us are going to stay dry as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Look at our temps. We're still sitting low to mid 70s, even upper 70s once you get into our western counties. Now tomorrow we're going to get some more thunderstorms as well. The greater severe threat is going to stay east of the region. We do have a level 1 out of 5 threat, mainly Springfield, Monette, Aurora down toward Pineville, Anderson. I really think along and south of the I-44 corridor, that's going to be the better shot to get some strong to severe storms. The timing would be 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Main threat is going to be hail and wind, but the overall threat is fairly low for us to get some severe weather. All right, let's go through time. Here's 6 a.m. A lot of clouds. Our temperatures, we don't drop off much. We're still sitting into the upper 60s. Here comes that cold front. Scattered showers popping up along the front. So here's 1 p.m. Temperatures dropping behind the front. And then as we go through the afternoon, we're going to have some isolated storms in southwestern Missouri. And those will have the potential to be a little bit stronger or low-grade severe. But I really think most of the severe weather stays across central parts of Missouri and then down through Arkansas. So it may skirt right around us, which would be great news. Cold front drops in. Temperatures drop for us all the way down into the mid-40s by the time we head into Friday morning. And then Friday afternoon, a lot of mid and upper level clouds, quite a bit cooler, about 20 degrees cooler, as our high temps are going to be into the mid-60s. All right, day planner for your Thursday, 69 to start. We're going to go 76 by noon. I do think we'll get into lower 80s. And then look at the drop all the way down to 64 once we get into tomorrow afternoon. All right, the weekend's going to be a little bit cooler. We're going to have a few showers, mainly in our southern counties, late Saturday night, and then into Sunday morning. A few showers skirting by, but this system isn't going to produce any severe weather. This is just going to be some random showers. Now, severe threat, that will return once we get into next week, especially Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. An alert day tomorrow just for the slight potential to get a few stronger storms in southwestern Missouri. High temp 83, 64 Friday. A few showers over the weekend, and then better chances for thunderstorms, especially all of next week. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Doug. Well, a question science has never asked is, how long does it take a bumblebee to drown? Why would you ask that? Now, researchers in Canada are getting closer to that answer purely by accident. They were surprised when they accidentally submerged hibernating queen bumblebees in water and found they survived. Those bees were underwater for 7 days. Now, bees don't have gills, so scientists aren't sure exactly how they survive so long. One theory is they go into a sort of suspended animation and their respiratory openings close. It's also possible they can't breathe through their skin while submerged. So that would not be how you'd want to kill a bee if it stung you. Well, coming up in sports, 5 high school seniors at Webb City signed to become collegiate athletes. Plus, Northeast and Columbus meet for a softball doubleheader. John Dales has highlights from that game and more up next.
Cardinals seniors put pen to paper to sign their national letters of intent and to continue their academic and athletic careers at the collegiate level. Emily Countryman signs with Missouri Southern Cross Country and Track. Karen Duda commits to NEO to play basketball. Connor Gaiman commits to Missouri Valley Football. Sean Hunt signs with John Woods Community College Baseball. And Levi Lassiter signs with Pitt State Golf. Now all the Cardinals signees are excited for the next steps in their journey.
For a long time, I didn't think that I was going to be able to sign somewhere or earn a scholarship, so putting in a lot of hard work, day and night, it didn't really matter any time of the day because if somebody's getting better and I'm not, then I'm wrong.
So my first 2 seasons, I didn't even think about college golf. And then I heard of the Pitt State program, the golf program starting back up, and it kind of inspired me to want to pursue collegiate golf. Oh, it's awesome. I'm gonna be so proud to be a Gorilla, and I feel like this is the opportunity I've been waiting for.
I've worked since I was about 13 years old to get to this point. I've always, been to college games, seen all this stuff, and it's just a next step forward in the process. I'm not done here.
They had came to a few practices throughout the season. I'd been in touch, but towards the end of the season, just started talking more, went on a visit, and got the offer and was just super excited, was ready to commit.
Columbus High School softball, red hot right now. The Lady Titans have won 10 consecutive games entering today, where they play a doubleheader at Northeast. Now, it's a non-conference game between two of the top softball programs in Southeast Kansas. Northeast against Columbus. Top of the first, Tori Tedlock hits a fly ball to left field. That finds the fence. It's an RBI triple. Columbus gets this game started with a 1-0 lead. Later in the inning, Shelby Underwood starts to settle in. She gets the swing and a miss. On the other side of the dugout, Gracie Major, she was locked in for Columbus. Finishes the second inning with back-to-back strikeouts. Then Major shows some high heat to get out of the third. Major continues the stellar pitching performance as she never allows a run. Top of the third, Columbus leads 2-0, helping her own cause. Gracie Major belts one deep to center and gone. Bounces off the glove of the outfielder and over the fence. That's a home run. Columbus goes on to dominate, takes game one of the doubleheader. Final score 9-0. Second end of the doubleheader, even more lopsided. Columbus dominates, scores 13 runs in the fifth inning alone, and goes on to win 21-1. Titans have won 12 games in a row. The 2024 MIAA Golf Championships wrap up today. After the first 2 days of competition, Missouri Southern found itself in second place. But after day 3, the Lions are conference champions. They win the MIAA Championship for the second year in a row, finishing with a team score of 35 over par. Central Missouri finishes in second place, 5 strokes behind the Lions. Now here are the 5 scores from Missouri Southern's golfers. Luis Limon is the individual MIAA champion. He finishes the tournament 4 over par, 3 strokes in front of second place. And speaking of second place, Ben Markman, one of 3 players to tie for second. Trajan McRae finishes in 10th place. He shoots even par today. Dylan Bagley and Josh Hamnett each also finished in the top half of the 50-player field. That's a look at sports. Back with more news after this.
Space may be the final frontier, but researchers say it could be getting harder to study certain aspects of it, especially when it comes to what lies on and in asteroids and moons throughout the solar system. Fox News' Ted Linder blasts off to learn more about how a unique hopping robot could advance our knowledge of the great beyond.
Unlocking the secrets of space is no easy task. But with scientists only growing more interested in the minerals on asteroids and planetary moons, there's fear different levels of gravity and atmospheres on these objects will prevent traditional robotic crafts from being able to explore them.
Locomotion on low gravity bodies like asteroids or moons is quite challenging, right? Especially for classic wheel systems.
It's led Swiss researchers to develop this little guy called Space Hopper.
So we had the idea to rather use a hopping robot, which can then not only use the legs for hopping, but also to control its attitude while it's hopping, like while it's flying.
Space Hopper is armed with 3 legs and 9 motors, which it uses to leap off the surface of an object with low gravity and move through space towards another location.
So it's using its legs and the inertia of its legs to keep its body upright, or try to get its body into a predefined orientation that would then be safe for landing again.
The team has been experimenting with the bot under zero gravity conditions with help from the European Space Agency. And it comes as experts say inventions like this could be key to future scientific discoveries in deep space.
We might find traces of origins of life, for example, on asteroids or small moons. We might find cues about how our solar system evolved. That's one big reason for exploration. Another big reason that people are looking a bit more into the future is resources. Many of these, many asteroids contain resources that are somewhat scarce on Earth.
Ted Lindner, Fox News.
Coming up, we'll check out the new movies headed to theaters and streaming services this week. From an action thriller to a horror movie and an out-of-this-world documentary, here's a look at this week's new releases with Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Hitler's not playing by the rules, so neither are we.
New in theaters this week is Guy Ritchie's action thriller The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, starring Henry Cavill, Alan Ritchson, and Henry Golding, in a story set in 1939 about a group of secret operatives on missions to take out the Nazis.
Please let me out.
Meet Abigail at the movies. The new horror flick follows a group of would-be criminals who kidnap the 12-year-old daughter of a powerful underworld figure, then find out she's actually a vampire. Bigfoot is on the big screen in Sasquatch Sunset with Jesse Eisenberg and Riley Keough in a film which follows a year in the life of a Sasquatch family.
Let's show the state who these kids really are.
Matthew Modine leads Hard Miles as a social worker at a youth facility who assembles a cycling team of juvenile convicts for a 1,000-mile bike ride from Denver to the Grand Canyon.
A telescope is a time machine.
The IMAX original documentary Deep Sky is on screens for 1 week starting April 19th. Narrated by Michelle Williams, the documentary follows the journey of the new Webb telescope, exploration and inspiration, from deployment to beaming images back to Earth.
I'm turning 30 soon and I want to be a good person.
Nicola Coughlan and Lydia West lead the Tubi series Big Mood, a comedy exploring friendship, mental health, and navigating adulthood.
This is a new beginning.
The Roku channel adds a new series adaptation of the book, The Spiderwick Chronicles. The tale follows the Grace family as they discover magical creatures in their ancestral home, the Spiderwick Estate, and go on an adventure to take on the ogre Malgarath.
Find the invisible world.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
So many options there. And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of a baby Sichuan takin at the Indiana Zoo. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.